What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. We've got some more Seattle Seahawks practice notes here. It's not a lot. It's not like it typically is. Usually you have a lot of data to go through, but I definitely get the sense that things are starting to wind down in terms of interesting happenings because so much stuff has already been settled that there's just less to say. So I will say that we did get a little bit of information about some of the plays and performances that happened out there, which we really didn't see yesterday. But it's going to be a little bit of a quicker video than usual going over these practice notes. So let's just go ahead and jump in with what we do have here. A lot of it is going to be injury stuff, which at this point, we probably are more interested in that anyway, right? Like, we've seen enough and heard enough from training camp so far to know that this player is probably going to be good. This player looks really good. It's not like one bad or irregular practice would make us throw out the information that we've already consumed. So, with that being said, starting with Connor Williams, because obviously that's still the major storyline with the Seahawks right now, him trying to ramp up. Connor Benintendi has this article here on SI.com about how he looks like he's on track, or at the very least, it's reasonable to conclude that he will be making his debut week 1 for the Seahawks. So, according to him, and near as he can tell from his perception, things are good. And Condotta follows up here with some notes on Connor Williams today. Basically, he did about as much as he did the previous day. So, not a lot. Did some stuff early, did a little bit of work with the team. He got some work in afterwards, so maybe it was a little bit more than he did yesterday, but it's a ramp up, and there is going to be a little bit of a slow climb to him starting to do his full workload. I know that in the team stuff, Oluwatimi was still doing most of the first team stuff, so it's going to take some time, but we seem like we're on track there. So that's definitely the big focus right now for this team, making sure Connor Williams is ready to go for the first game, and it seems like we're headed that way. So great stuff here. Now getting to some of the injury stuff. Unfortunately, most of the injury stuff is on the discouraging side, shall we say. Most of it is, oh yeah, still nothing new. We did get one good thing, which was Zach Charbonnet was back to practice today. He didn't do a ton, but he did do some stuff. He was back in pads, and he was actually doing some of the drills. So Charbonnet seems like he's on track to come back. Not necessarily a player that I desperately need to see in the preseason anyway. So it looks like he's ready to go. He'll be ready to go. Okay, so after that, most of the injury updates we got were on the more pessimistic side. We had Curtis Crabtree here handing along various bits of information about players that were sitting out today, including Draymond Jones, Noah Fant, Miles Adams, Mike Morris, Jerome Baker, and Pharaoh Brown. And I believe that Jack Westover was also included among the players not practicing. So that means your top 2 tight ends and one of your back end tight ends are still out, which is probably why we brought in a couple guys off the street, because we just need guys who can play for a handful of plays during the preseason, because we don't want the preseason game to be like, oh, we're going to play Brady Russell for 60 snaps. We're going to be playing AJ Barner for 80 snaps. So you just bring in some guys to hold down the fort, and they're not going to make the team, which is fine, but it's also a little bit of a waste, right? Those are reps that could go to players that are actually going to be playing for you this year. But Draymond, I mean, we've now kind of reached the point where things are a little bit scary, I think, because he comes back from the hamstring injury that keeps him out a couple weeks, and almost immediately he gets hurt again, and now he's missed several days. It's a little bit concerning. I think we have to now very reasonably be alarmed that something could be going on long term here, and we might not get the Draymond Jones experience nearly as much as we were hoping, and not as effectively as we were hoping for the 2024 season. It's at least a consideration. Now, a guy like I'm sorry, not Jerome Baker, Pharaoh Brown being out was totally expected, but the Noah Fant thing continues to linger. Adams has now missed a couple days. It's not a big deal yet. He's not a guy I even expect to make the team, but he was playing well enough to where it was a consideration. And Jerome Baker, I guess, takes a step back because he did a little bit yesterday, and then they pulled back the reins today, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you definitely want to take things slowly here, especially with a veteran who has an injury history as is. But at the same time, we're probably now looking at a situation where we're going to go into the start of the regular season with a starting linebacker who didn't play at all in the preseason because of injury stuff. That doesn't make you feel great. And of course, Mike Morris, that's new. That's relatively new, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see on that one. But overall, not super enthused about any of that. Condotta also is on the injury beat stuff. He points out that Tyler Lockett was also out, although I'm not really worried about that. I don't think that particularly matters. I think that's clearly just an older player getting an opportunity to rest. So in terms of stuff that actually happened on the field, we had a couple of tweets from Condotta here on that. Christian Haynes mostly worked on the first team at right guard. So they switched it up today. Haynes got a lot of first team work at right guard, and Bradford ran with the backups. Excuse me. Ugh. So I expect Bradford to start at right guard this year one way or the other. But you can clearly see that they are trying to give themselves an opportunity to go a different way here, with Haynes maybe starting at right guard. And we also see that Haynes got some work with the first team at left guard with Bradford at right guard. So they are trying to keep their options open and trying to give themselves flexibility for the season, which is great, encouraging. I like that they're open to this, because I was afraid that Laken Tomlinson was just going to get handed the starting job at left guard and they'd never even consider doing anything else. Clearly, they are considering doing other things. So, really like what I hear there. There was also some situational work done in the practice today. There was a 3rd down drill, 2-minute drill, couple of interceptions by the defense today. Got pointed out by a couple people. Kayvon Wallace had what would have been a pick 6 of Sam Howell on the, I think, last play of the team drills. So Kayvon Wallace, he's locking up that roster spot, locking up that third safety spot, and probably locking up some significant playing time this year. Kobe Bryant had a pick of Geno Smith earlier today as well. Miscommunication with a receiver, and Kobe Bryant comes up with another play this preseason, so he's doing well too, and can't count him out. Okay, so another note of worthiness coming out of today's camp. One of the things concerning like actual field drills that has been in kind of short supply lately. Got this from Brady Henderson. More praise for Charles Cross. So what Brady Henderson says here, Charles Cross remains the most impressive player on either side of the ball in one-on-ones. Had 2 more strong reps today while facing Leonard Williams. The setup of this drill favors the defense, so when a blocker consistently looks as good as Cross has, that's something. So this is a big year for Charles Cross to prove it one way or the other, and he looks like he's going towards the positive side of that. We've heard nothing but good things so far at a camp. Haven't seen him in preseason yet because he hasn't played, but it's looking like things are going in a really good direction here. By the way, Brady Henderson does go on to elaborate a little bit about why the pass rush one-on-one drill favors the rusher, because there are no double teams, no chips, no threat of a run, no quick pass, no traffic. So this is a hard drill for the offensive lineman, and Charles Cross is consistently looking really good. So that's got to be one of the best performers so far in training camp overall. Training camp and practice, Cross has been killing it. There was also some discussion with Laviska Shenault. He did an interview after practice where he talked about some stuff. And I am sorry, I am out of it right now. Whew. I'm just kind of having these little brain lapses. My bad, guys. But Laviska Shenault got interviewed, and he answered a couple questions about his offseason. Apparently, the only other team to show real interest in him was Washington, and Washington wanted to make him a full-time running back. They wanted to actually convert him to playing out of the backfield a lot, or maybe even most of the time, and he wasn't interested in doing that. So we ended up taking Possibly, he didn't specify this to my knowledge, but he may have taken less money to do it. So, doesn't want to do that stuff yet. Can't blame him. But there were some people in my comments who were wondering if maybe the Seahawks would go with 3 running backs this year. I think in order to do that, you need to have Shenault kind of providing surrogate RB4 skills, and it doesn't sound like he's interested in that. So I'm going to continue to maintain that we need all 4 running backs, true running backs, even if one of them's McIntosh. And McIntosh is kind of a hybrid running back receiver anyway, but I don't think we can lean on Shenault to play in the backfield a lot. It's going to be jet sweeps, which, hey, that helps. That's part of the run game. But in terms of him actually playing running back, no. Uh, Off topic here, but nevertheless compelling. We got this from Mary Kay Cabot. I believe she's one of the beat reporters for the Cleveland Browns. Just to kind of pass along what we know about that preseason game so far. Kevin Stefanski has said that all of his starters should expect to play against the Seahawks, except for maybe Deshaun Watson. That determination has not yet been made. But expect to see the starters for the Browns. So if we see all the starters for the Browns and we maybe don't see them for the Seahawks, then I think we can all kind of expect what way that game is going to go. Now, I think we're going to see some of the starters that are healthy. I think we're going to see Geno and the starting offensive line and the starting receivers with him. And I imagine we're going to see more starters on the defense, but it does seem like the Browns are treating this game a little bit more as a dress rehearsal than the Seahawks are. The Seahawks seem to be content with letting practice and training camp be the dress rehearsal. But we'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday. So that's all I got. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. That is today's practice notes. Some pretty good things, but we need these players to get healthy. I'll make another video later today if something demands it, but see you guys later for now. Should be on Twitch later tonight. Go Hawks, and yep, that's the news.